YouTube, Shulka04 here. So we all like to think we know what we would do in a situation where somebody was shooting at us. We also like to think that we have some idea as far as what situation we would shoot back. What I'm about to describe to you is not a scenario. This took place about a week ago. And this is going to be a three-part video. The first part, I'm going to describe to you the events that took place 8 days ago at 8:30 at night on our property. And the second video will be a sort of what went wrong, mistakes that were made, and what to do different. And then the third video will be an update as to what happened on the property again 2 nights ago. So let's step over here and I'll give you a lowdown. This video is going to be based primarily on fact. The thoughts, the ideas, the emotion of it, if you will come out in the second video. We own 8 acres of property here. It's shaped primarily like a shoebox, basically. That house and everything you see straight ahead of you belongs to the gentleman who lives next door. He's 75 years old and a retired restaurant equipment owner. So, when he closed his business, he moved his restaurant equipment, or what was left of his inventory, into the area right next door. And if you look, and I'll stop moving for a minute, you can see straight ahead there what looks like old commercial-sized refrigerators and freezers. Well, there's an area here about 75 feet away that's full of that kind of stuff. And so what happened the other night was related to that equipment in that area. At 8:30 at night, Andrea stepped out of the RV, which was basically positioned here, with the intention of looking at the stars. It was about 5 days before a full moon, but it was still very dark because the moon hadn't risen yet. So she wanted to come out and see if she could see any falling stars. About a minute or two after coming outside, she then opens the door and says to me, "You need to come out here. I hear voices, and I think I also hear shooting." So I come outside, and we're both standing basically right there. About 15 seconds into standing out here, and yeah, there's talking plain as day. The talking's taking place in the arroyo over there, where all the equipment is, and they are talking in their regular. Let's put it this way: they're not talking in sneaking around voices; they're just talking like regular voices. I hear a shot, and Andrea says, "Is that a gunshot?" And I say yes. And she says, "Then why does it sound different than any of the gunshots I've heard before?" And I said, "Because this time it's coming at us." So the problem is, out here in sort of the county land, it would not be impossible, theoretically, for the guy who lives in the house, where his people, to be down there engaging in target practice at night. I know that sounds sort of stupid, but that actually happens in this area. We get people doing target practice at night. Anyway, there's probably the sighted lasers and stuff like that. Anyway, that's not the point. The fact of the matter is, there was a shooting, and there were voices, so I told Andrea, go inside and call the guy and see if he has any idea what the hell's going on out here. So she goes into the RV, standing out here. I hear another shot. It sounds like the shooting is going across our property this way. But I can't tell. And they're shooting intermittently. Now, if you see straight ahead, there's an orange igloo cooler there about, 50 feet in front of us. As I'm standing here listening and watching, somebody's walking along there and stumbles into that cooler. they haven't seen me yet. So I back up. And I go around to the other side of the RV. And I tap on the window. There. And I say to Andrea, have you gotten a hold of the guy who owns the land? She says, no, not yet. I may try to call his son. I say to her, don't do that. Turn out all the lights, first off. Turn off the TV. Go completely dark. Stay in the RV, because there's now somebody 50 feet away from us, and I don't know if it's the person with the gun. And 3, call the cops and get them out here now. So she starts doing that. While she's doing that, I'm now squatting right here next to the RV, but also sort of using the bush for obscurity and cover, and trying to figure out what's going on with the guy who was here, but I can't see him anymore. He's gone somewhere. So while I'm here looking in this direction, I am aware of movement and sound that way. And if we look, what I'm hearing is somebody has now, about where my finger is, somebody has now crossed our property and sort of come diagonal across the road here a little and gone that way. So now we've got somebody over here, we've got voices over here, and there's somebody on our property over here. So now I'm really concerned. I go back to the window and ask Andrea, hand me the phone, I want to talk to the cops. So now I call, and I'm talking to dispatch, and dispatch says if he can go up there and meet the officers who have come to check out the land. And let me give you a little detail about that. The cops, when they got here, first off, they slowed down or stopped basically right out there by the road. You see that metal Quonset hut? That's essentially the road. So the cops stopped there and turned the light that is on the side of their light bar up top. They turned that side light on and then cruised 5 or 10 miles an hour up the road until they got up there where our driveway is. And then they drove along the driveway, again, 5 or 10 miles an hour, and parked up there. Long story short, there was no mystery to the idea that the cops were here, which may explain why these people disseminated in the area. So, getting back to what I was saying, I call dispatch. I say to dispatch, do I need to go up there and talk to them? They say yes, but tell us what you're wearing. So, son of a bitch, I'm wearing army pants, a gray jacket, but I've got a orange hat. As I guess you saw in that video. It's this orange hat. It's not as ostentatious as I would like, but still, I'm going to wear it so they'll be able to identify me. So I walk from here to the gate up there. I get about 2/3 of the way, or 3/4 of the way there, basically where the road starts sort of going up that little hill, at which time I figure the cops need to see that I'm approaching. So I take a flashlight and I'm shining it in my face so they can see my orange hat on my head. But I can't see now where I'm going. So I'm sort of stumbling along blindly until I get to the gate. I get up there. The cops' vehicles are there, lights on, engines running, but the cops are not there. They're actually looking around down in here with their flashlights. After about 5 minutes, the cops appear, ask me, the basics. Where do I live? Who lives over here? What do I know? Really nothing of any merit. And then they say, if it happens again, call us. We're on until 7 a.m. And then they leave. So they leave, and I walk basically back here. No flashlight this time. Walk back in the dark. Back here. And at this time, Andrea is standing in the doorway of the RV, which is open, but the vehicle inside is dark, so you can't see her in there. So at that time, I stand about there on the other side of the bush, looking out here into the arroyo. We haven't had any gunshots in about 20 minutes. And what we do get now is we get whistling here. Whistling over there, a response, and wait for it. Whistling over here. And they keep whistling and sort of moving back closer together until now it sounds like they're, again, together back in there. And a few minutes after that, a vehicle appears and drives down into there and then drives back up, pauses for 30 seconds or so, and then leaves. So my thought is that the whistling was so they could find one another and reconsolidate. Then they called in who's ever got the truck or the van or whatever it was to come and pick them up. The vehicle picks them up. They get in the vehicle, drive off, and there you have it. That was last Wednesday night. 4 or 5 shots. Sounded like it was going across the property. All this took about an hour and a half to take place between when we called the cops and when they actually showed up was about 40 minutes, even though Andrea told them that there was active shooting taking place. Right then, right now, get here, right now, they're shooting. It still took 40 minutes for the cops to show up. So there's that. Now let's go to video number 2 where I talk about the mistakes and what I would do different and all that. All right, Shelko 4 out.